Hey guys, welcome once again to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Ryan Robinson. This here's Tom Shelby.
Hello.
Every week we get together and talk about video games and other shit. Shanee is usually with us, but she's off somewhere.
Where is she?
I don't know.
We always, whenever she leaves, we always forget where it is.
She leaves.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know where Shanee is. I remember
Where she is.
Where Shanee is. Last time Shanee went somewhere, we texted her, bothering her because we wanted her attention because we needed a question answered. She's in a wedding or at church or something, and I remember in order to get her to answer us, I told her that you were crying.
Yeah. But I guess you don't care.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Then she texted back out of guilt. And then it was something like, I don't even remember what question we had that we needed her to answer, but
Yeah.
she gave it to us. So Tom, what have you been up to this week?
I've actually been playing a fair amount of stuff. Started up Snake Pass.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about Snake Pass, Tom.
It's very frustrating.
How's that?
Like, it's good. I like it. I recognize that it's good, but like, I don't like poor physics-driven games.
Mm-hmm.
Octodad, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was the
Intentionally
other one?
poor physics, right?
What was the stupid robot one? Grow Home?
Yeah.
Like, I hate those games. I think they're terrible.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people love Grow Home.
And Octodad.
And Octodad. This is not that. Like, the physics are weird, the controls are weird, but they make sense for what you were doing.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating that I'm not good at it.
How do you move the snake? How do you make him do the things?
I mean, you move like you do with... I think you have like a button to just make you go forward,
Mm-hmm.
that you just hold down. But to get any speed, you have to like left analog stick back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Slither.
Yeah. And that's not so much the problem. But like, there's a lot of like hazardous falls to your death.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not good at wrapping the snake guy around different things, like that's going to happen a lot. And it happens to me a lot because I'm just not good at the game.
So is the crux of the game wrapping him around stuff to traverse the environment?
A lot of it. A lot of collectibles. It's basically get all these collectibles to get to the end, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good game. I recognize that it's good. I'm just not good at it.
Does the snake have a name?
Yeah, it's something cute, like Noodle or something like that.
Slitherman.
And then David Wise soundtrack is fantastic, of course.
You give a...
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Picked up EDF 4.1 again, second time because it's on sale this week.
Right.
And like, man, when are they going to bring 5 over?
How long has it been out?
I feel like 5's been out in Japan for like at least 6 months.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I hope they bring it over. They usually do.
Yeah. Maybe they're having a hard time finding something to localize it this time.
Maybe I'll just import it. I don't need English for that game, you know?
Yeah. We were talking about...
I played a little bit of Slain Back from Hell.
What is that?
It's like, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is like Castlevania. It's not like Castlevania. It's a 2D action game, but it's just very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, from what I can tell, it's not a roguelike or anything like that. It's not procedural generated. Like, it seems to be set levels. But the difficulty, it gets there real quick, you know? Yeah.
What kind of guy or person are you?
You're just a little dude with a sword.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of magic to you.
Yeah.
But, like, to play it feels similar to Castlevania.
Like, does it have the same kind of, like, power-ups and items, kind of like in the same vein as Castlevania?
Not yet, but I'm only, like, maybe an hour in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gets real hard. It's fun, though. It's real awesome.
Right on.
Music sucks. But it's good.
Is it all, what do you call it? Is it, like, made to look kind of like Castlevania?
Sort of. I mean, definitely more gory.
Yeah.
And I like the pixel art for it. I think a lot of people are kind of burnt out.
Wait, is it that game where like the logo is like the letters look like blood kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know what game you're talking about.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are burnt out on pixel art these days because it's been so shoved down our throats for the last 10 years now.
Yeah. Remember 10 years ago when
When it was,
it was new again?
yeah, but like there are a few games that I feel like stand out with it
Yeah.
and do a very good job of it. And this the animation of the sprites in this game are like far above most other
Yeah.
pixel art games. Yeah,
How much did that game cost?
I couldn't tell you, man. I don't remember.
For fun. Kind of fun.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Um, right on. Tom, I got my new record player this week,
Hmm.
and I learned something about myself over the past few days. So my friend, like I told you about how my friend gave me all these records, right?
All right.
And it's a bunch of shit that I never that like in my own time, like I wouldn't swap this stuff out, right?
Right.
Because it's like a lot of like it's like Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath and
Hmm.
Led Zeppelin stuff like that. And but I was I sat there and I was like, you know what? I have all these records. I should probably listen to them because I don't remember ever really hearing Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin except for like in passing, right?
Okay.
And so I learned that I don't dislike Black Sabbath,
So one of my first albums I ever bought was a Black Sabbath album.
even though like for some like I always just assumed that I would. But
Black Sabbath is great.
yeah,
Ozzy Osbourne is not a good singer.
hmm
He never has been.
yeah,
But Black Sabbath is cool.
yeah, yeah. So I got it's cool because like these records they're like originals from the 70s, and so like they have like these really like so they have these advertisements that are like really old, like the I think you saw did you see the one I put on Instagram of, like
Not, no.
it's like it's like it's kind of like one of those you know how like Columbia Music or whatever used to do that thing where like give us 99 cents and we'll give you all these CDs.
Yeah.
uh,
BMG and all that.
yeah, so it has
Yeah.
like the one of the Black Sabbath albums has this has that insert. It's like enclose $2 and we'll send you these records, and
Yeah.
it's like it's really it's kind of funny. But
Did you send the $2?
yeah, I sent the $2, so any day now, hopefully
Sure.
those records.
Sure.
um, yeah, and so I have Led Zeppelin's 3, which is a pretty great album, and been listening to a lot of Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Um, I have like 4 of their albums, and I've been listening to a lot of that. So I've been broadening my horizons over the past week, and it feels pretty good to do that.
Right on.
Now, as far as games that I've been playing though, uh, I've been playing. I started playing this game called Wizard of Legend. You heard that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's basically it's a roguelike where you play as a titular wizard, and through each run you get an assortment of spells which are in card form, and then you take those into each run and you can kind of just and you use them like in concert with each other. And they each have like cooldowns, but like there's no mana or anything. You just like sometimes have to wait on a cooldown, but that's it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty neat. It's like insanely hard. Not insanely hard. I'm just bad at video games. Like I could, like if someone who were better at video games would probably have not as hard a time with it.
Well, I do feel like roguelikes have a tendency to start difficult.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and so it's really neat though. I haven't gotten to spend a whole lot of time with it, but so far I'm into it. Like you get different spells. Like one is like you shoot a bunch of like fiery dragons from your hands at once, and another one is like you can like throw a lightning spear that penetrates enemies and like stuns everybody that it hits.
Yeah.
And they're all mapped to like a different face button, so you can kind of just like use like you can make combos and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I just happened to see it in passing, and I was like, that seems like a good use of $15, so I went ahead and picked it up.
Dude, that humble sale right now, shit. Like that may as well be a Steam summer sale going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get anything out of that?
Well, I got EDF because it's never on sale.
Yeah.
You know, that's an old game at this point.
Yeah.
Always $50.
Yeah.
you
How much
know?
is it on?
I think like 30 on Humble, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is not like fantastic savings, but for how rarely that game goes on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still plugging away at that Mad Max. trying to get those trophies. Yeah, man, like I don't know why like twice now I've chosen open world games to get all the trophies in. Um,
You just gotta commit.
yeah, and like I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job with it. It's just it's just so many of the I had never realized how many scavenge locations there are in that game.
Yeah.
Like I've never realized it because I was never actively looking for them. And like when I look on my map and I see like they're just like so many all over the map, and it usually takes like 5 minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes to get to each one.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm making some pretty good progress on it. I'm still like nervous about whether or not that I can get that platinum to show up.
I wouldn't be nervous about that.
The only thing that I can't seem to get is there's a trophy for like one of the trophies is keep your car airborne without dying for 4 seconds.
Okay.
Um, and I can't. There are like a lot of jumps in that game, but none of them seem to keep you airborne for 4 seconds.
Dude, if you like look at a trophy guide, I guarantee people are like, "This is the spot that you need to do this at."
Probably.
You
I mean, that
But-
game's been out for how long?
Yeah.
Like 3.5 years now. But yeah, I'm really having a good time. Like still like getting those trophies.
Yeah.
Anxiously awaiting next week for State of Decay.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the game that has me try out Game Pass.
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is like when the day that game comes out, I'm gonna like, hey, I'll start my Game Pass 7 day trial and,
Sure.
and see what that's about. And I've looked at Game Pass though, and like I looked at all the games that are on offer, and for the most part, like I don't like personally, I don't care about most of them.
Well, that's why they're bringing all these day one games,
Yeah,
console exclusive games to it,
yeah,
but it did not. Like Sea of Thieves was the first one, right?
mm-hmm.
That game, yeah, you can say it sold well because technically that everybody that had Game Pass that downloaded that game counted towards the sales of that game.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but I haven't. But it's not. It's the funny thing about Sea of Thieves is that like.
Like it did not do well. People have forgotten about that game
Yeah,
already.
I was just gonna say that like the talk about that game like took like a sheer drop.
Yeah.
Um.
And I think State of Decay will do worse. I do.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, I love the idea of Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think it's a really awesome idea, and I think that if they get if they get a catalog that I feel would justify it, then I think that would be awesome. But I can't see that happening in the near future.
Microsoft, this generation, continues to make consumer-friendly ideas happen.
Yeah.
And that's it. They are very consumer-friendly. They are not good business practices. They are bad decisions.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that, they have everything there to give you like all the value for your money, and again, yeah, like you said, they are very consumer friendly. It's just that like a lot of stuff they do outside of that just doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Like I still want to know like what is the advantage to them for having Play Anywhere.
Because I think they're more concerned about software than hardware.
Yeah.
Which is what they should be concerned about, right? Most of the big three, I mean, most hardware manufacturers in general, that's not where they're making their money.
Yeah. They've been making more. Do you think? Okay, would you say that they're making more money with Windows 10 licenses than Xboxes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Windows 10 like has applications like across like everywhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can think about work.
Yeah.
Like it's, of course, but.
So like, and at the same time, like I feel like more than once I've heard people talk about talk about the future of the Xbox brand with some kind of uncertainty. Um, like I guess I have to. I guess there's.
There will be another Xbox. I do believe
I
that.
certainly think so. Beyond that, I don't know.
It's the third console curse, man. People have talked about it forever.
Yeah,
It's always that way.
yeah,
I mean, think about literally every console manufacturer that you can think of.
mm-hmm.
Third console never does well,
Yeah,
and it's typically for the same reasons.
mm-hmm.
Your previous one did great. You got cocky and made some bad decisions. You
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah,
it was the same thing with Sony. It was the same thing with Nintendo. It was the same thing with Sega. Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
But
And maybe this will humble them a little bit, and
what was the well? I mean, I know the Wii U. What was the other console that for Nintendo that didn't do well?
well, N64. If you're talking about like third console, which is yes, technically that's not their third console,
Right,
but like it is their third console.
right.
Did not do well compared to their previous consoles.
Really,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude, Sony came in that generation and stomped all over them.
that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things too, right? Like with where we talk about like the way people talk about the Dreamcast, the way people talk about Beyond Good and Evil, like they talk about like everybody talks about like how much they love that thing, and then like you go back and look at the numbers and like
Yeah, exactly.
they don't line up.
Like N64 did okay,
Yeah,
but compared to SNES, compared to NES, it
Yeah.
did not,
yeah.
you know.
And it also very much seemed like outside of Mario 64 and outside of GoldenEye, that thing didn't really have much of an identity of its own.
Oh, I disagree. I love the N64. I think it had some great games that you could not get elsewhere.
Well, no,
But-
I'm saying it did have. I'm not saying that it didn't have great games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that like, it seemed like if you put it against another console like the PlayStation or even its predecessor the SNES, because like look the SNES, like when you look at the SNES, like that's your RPG machine, right? Then you look at the N64, and like every time I think about it.
Dude, that's the multiplayer machine is what that was.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you think like, because the conversation with N64 usually gravitates around GoldenEye, right?
GoldenEye
Yeah,
or Mario
yes.
Party or Mario Kart or
Or
whatever,
Smash Brothers.
right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smash Brothers, yeah.
The funny thing about Smash Brothers is back when when the first Smash Brothers came out, I was like, that's such an awesome idea. And I don't by any means I don't think it's a bad idea at all. It's just at the time I was like, well, that's crazy. I never imagined they would do something like this.
Yeah.
But like it's funny because like with every game in the Smash Bros. Franchise, that roster seems to get bigger and bigger.
It does.
And then it's fun. It's interesting to look at the latest Smash Brothers game and then go back to the original Smash Brothers game and see the parity between the roster sizes and that.
Yeah.
And you've talked about like with fighting games how the larger the roster, the more difficult it is to balance, and that just kind of just makes sense. And I wonder if Smash Brothers 1 is more balanced than Smash Brothers whatever is it 7, 8.
I couldn't tell you. Like, I like Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
but I'm no authority on Smash Brothers, I don't know. Like, I almost want to simplify it and say because all inputs are the same across the board, maybe it's a little bit easier, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess like a Smash Bros. Super fan would be like
Yeah.
no,
Right.
you're but yeah, I think back on my time with the N64 and I'm kind of just like, it's funny because I think that my stand-up memories with my N64 aren't parallel to the memories that other people have with theirs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like when people talk about their 64, they talk about their time with the GoldenEye, or maybe even like Wave Race or Mario 64 or anything. I think that the thing that I spent the most time with on my 64 was Harvest Moon 64.
Yeah.
I think that was probably just because that was the first time I'd ever played a game like that. Because I didn't play any of the previous games. I didn't play the SNES one or any of the other ones.
I played some weird ass N64 games. Mischief Makers, a lot of people love that now, but I don't think a lot of people did back then.
Yeah.
Winback. I still say Winback was a great game,
Yeah.
but
I'd like to go back and revisit Winback.
yeah.
When was the last time you played it?
Shit, I don't know. I must have been in high school.
I knew that they did a sequel to Win Back that came out on the 360 like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Never played it,
Yeah.
uh, but then again, that was also not a game that I. But then again, I was about to say that was not a game that I expected to see a sequel to. But I was also going to say that while then admit that I knew nothing about Win Back because I never played it.
Dude, we still haven't gotten a Star Fox that's as good as that one.
That's true.
You know, like,
Yeah.
never gonna happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think back to like, man, the first time I stayed up all night playing Perfect Dark,
Mm.
like just multiplayer,
Yeah.
and not even like against other people. Like that was another thing too.
Bots.
Yeah, this is the bots, man. Like I never, I didn't like playing a multiplayer game like by myself.
That's all I did with Rage Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had like and that's because one of the things that I would lament a lot as a kid is like I want to play the multiplayer mode in this game, but I can't get my friends to come over, so I guess I'm not playing it.
Yeah.
Um, that was a really cool thing to be able to do, and I don't know what the parity is between the numbers of people who preferred GoldenEye versus people who preferred Perfect Dark. I've always been more of a Perfect Dark person myself, but
I mean, I love GoldenEye, but I love Bond,
yeah,
and it came first. You know.
yeah. It's funny because like just recently I saw the trailer for GoldenEye, the movie, and like looking at it, I was like, man, that's still a badass looking movie.
And what I love about GoldenEye the game, it came out so late.
96.
Like, I mean, like late
97.
compared to when the movie came out.
Yeah, when did that movie come
Because
out?
typically these things launch together.
Right.
Right.
That was back when that was back when movie tie-in games were like a common occurrence.
Yeah, GoldenEye came out way later.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you loved that movie, which I did at the time,
Mm-hmm.
man, they did a good job recreating that movie.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I was looking at I was watching the trailer for the movie, and I'm looking.
You recognize locations.
Yeah,
and
I was
shit,
like,
yeah.
that's probably one of the more faithful movie tie-in games that I've
Mhm.
seen, because a lot of them just don't do that. Because I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of times they would choose a game or a movie that is really difficult to adapt to a video game.
Mhm.
Which I don't like. I think it was me. I don't know if it was me and you, but I was watching gameplay for the Beethoven second video game, and I was like, I can't imagine what they would how they would make that a video game, but they did it. But then again, like a lot of shit in that game like didn't happen in the movie,
Right.
So, but yeah, like the like all the iconic scenes from the movie are there. Like even the first level, like where he bungee jumps off the dam,
Yeah.
and then they recreate the tank scene, which was like
Yeah.
to this day is still really cool. Yeah, that movie is awesome. That movie and game are awesome.
And I think with Perfect Dark, I could be wrong, but I would assume that game was born from the fact that they probably couldn't get another license. You know, like
Yeah.
they probably couldn't get another Bond license or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, because it very much is GoldenEye 2.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm pretty sure because there were subsequent James Bond games like very soon after that one, but none of them released on the N64.
None of them made by Rare, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think EA picked up the license after that.
Yeah, EA had it for a while.
Yeah, because so I remember Tomorrow Never Dies.
Agent Under Fire.
Yeah. Agent Under Fire.
And then Nightfire, right?
Yeah. And then, but then the funny thing is that like they did that Everything or Nothing game, which wasn't even a movie. It was just like an original James Bond story.
Most of those were not movies.
Yeah.
They still put Pierce Brosnan on the cover, but most of them were not
They
movies.
put Pierce Brosnan on the cover in the game. They got Willem Dafoe for Everything or Nothing, which fine. But yeah, like I feel like James Bond is like definitely like one of those characters that like could easily translate to video games.
Yeah.
We need another one of those.
So I kind of just like whenever it's just the two of us
Mhm.
and like we don't have something planned as far as what we want to talk about,
We didn't plan it.
I kind of just default to like, what are you excited for? You know, we got E3 coming up. A lot of good games that just came out. A lot of good games are getting ready to come out.
Hmm.
What's on your radar?
You know, it's not an E3 thing, but that you jog my memory because I remembered I wanted to bring this up to you. Have you been in that Onrush beta?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
No. But what's today? The 19th? It's 19th or the 20th?
20th.
Okay. It's got 2 more days left on it. Should probably
Yeah.
want to check that out. Shit, I don't know, man. I was excited for Splinter Cell, or what I believe Splinter Cell will happen.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to hear about that. It's been a long time since I played Conviction. I slept on Blacklist. You told me it was pretty good.
I mean, I haven't played much of it, but yeah.
Did it seem similar to Conviction?
Very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably really like it. Yeah, I played Conviction like back and forth like tens of times.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what they have lined up there. Especially since like I haven't really been paying as much attention to Ubisoft as I had been in previous years, just because like they had more shit going on back then that I cared about.
Right.
Whereas like it hasn't really been the case so much. I was thinking about how much I wish they would bring Prince of Persia back, because I really liked that last one, and I'd like to see more of that, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Give it time.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's gonna be more Beyond Good and Evil 2 stuff. At least I hope there will be. I'd like to know more about what that game is. And I'd like them to show me something to get excited about.
Yeah.
Cause the thing about it is, on paper, my initial reaction is yes, to be excited, but that was based purely on the fact that now that I know it exists.
That trailer was fucking cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but at the same time, like, that doesn't show me like anything about what that game's gonna be like.
Right.
So I would like them to show me something like, how's the game work, like what kind of mechanics can I expect. So if I get more of that would be really awesome. Looking forward to Bethesda announcements too, man. Like I would like to hear the words Doom 2.
Yeah.
Very much. Especially because that first game was so damn cool. It was the first game in, how long have I been playing video games? 27 years now. That like has unseated River City Ransom as my favorite game of all time. It's just a phenomenal game, and and I've played it. I played Doom like over and over again. Like thinking about, man, Doom 2, like how can they top this? Because I just feel like I very much felt like the first Doom was a very much a right place, right time kind of thing. And as much as I love that game and as fantastic as I think it is, it's like, how do you replicate that?
Well, I think it's easier now because the first one, I mean, not the first one, but the last one.
Yeah.
It was very much an unknown, and it was kind of a gamble on their part.
Yeah.
But it paid off. Now people know what to expect, and they know to expect something that was really good.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to sell Doom 2 than it was to sell Doom.
Do you make Doom 2 more over the top? Do you think? Do you think you have to like ratchet that up to?
I mean, I think like you might see maybe some set pieces, which the first Doom didn't have much of.
Yeah.
Unless you count like Cyber Demon or whatever. Like, it didn't really have what you would think of in like the Call of Duty sense or the Uncharted sense of like crazy shit happening, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you had some of that, but I don't think you can go too far.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's well based on what because we watched that no clip like a few months back, where they talked about the design philosophy behind the gameplay of Doom and
Yeah.
how they very much wanted to minimize how often, if ever, they took control away from you.
Hmm.
And I think that with the set pieces like in Call of Duty or Uncharted, like a lot of that shit involves like taking the control out of your hands to show you that thing.
But at the same time, I feel like Doom does that more than those games do.
How's that?
In like the fucking what do they call it? When you like grab the guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but
You
that's
know?
that's for like a quick second.
Yeah, but it's like peppered in every couple of seconds. Whereas,
Yeah. Well, I think the difference there is that there's more agency involved with that because you decide when that happens.
sure.
Um, which like
But like if you do it in the Uncharted way, right? Like if you think about Uncharted 2, 3, what's the one where you're like in the building and the fucking building starts coming down?
that's two.
Or like even the train from 2, or like
Yeah.
most of the Uncharted set pieces, you don't lose control when they're happening.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And I think
Which is rare in games.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think also like in Uncharted two's case, I feel like that it wouldn't have worked like the way that it wouldn't have felt the way that it did if you weren't controlling, like if you were just watching it unfold.
right.
Like, but if you're in control of like whether or not Drake makes it out of there, then,
Yeah.
like it has a whole different.
Like
feel.
that entire time that building's coming down, you're controlling Drake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that 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 Doom could definitely benefit from stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I also think that that sort of thing relies very much on like I think that Drake is a man like he's a regular dude, so he's afraid of shit, right?
Mhm.
And so that's like a scary moment for him. Like how do you do that with the Doom Marine, who is like very much portrayed as not being afraid of anything or giving a shit about anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to invoke suspense with a character like that, I think.
Sure.
Not to say that it can't be done. Like there are smarter people than me who work on video games, which is why they do it, and I'm the one who buys them. But yeah, like I've always like every year I look forward to what Bethesda's going to do, and
I just don't know what they could possibly have.
yeah,
They've talked about new IPs. You know, of course they're going to show Rage,
yeah,
but like, if not Doom 2, then what? Because like, I don't think Arcane's ready to show anything. I don't think Machine Games is ready to show anything. I don't think Bethesda Softworks is ready to show anything. Like,
because it's
you know,
so it's like
I could be wrong,
I bet.
but
Okay, so apparently there's some additional content for Prey like coming out.
really,
Like that's on the moon or something. I don't know like how substantial it is. I don't know how many hours it adds to the base game.
yeah,
But if it is substantial enough, maybe they show that. Which again though is like at the same time, like when did Prey came out in last year, right?
yes.
Yeah. Even still though, like I don't know, like if you want to make a big deal out of I don't know if you want to make a big deal out of something like that.
What I like about Bethesda as a publisher is they've never. We have like Square Enix or Ubisoft or whoever, and they'll sell like, 2-3 million copies of a game, right?
Yeah.
We saw it with Square Enix with the Tomb Raider games. They sell a few million, right?
Right.
And they're like, it wasn't enough. That's not what we wanted to make. It wasn't enough for our shareholders, whatever.
Right.
Bethesda's like, I mean, as long as the game pays for itself and we make a little bit of profit, it's worth it to us.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of what they would talk about. They're not going to talk. They're not going to talk about the Elder Scrolls. They're not going to talk about Fallout and like new IP. Like what is that? I have like every time I hear Bethesda and new IP in the same sentence, then immediately I hear about the ambiguous Starfield, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a good chance of a Bethesda Softworks games. Like it's not going to be Elder Scrolls, obviously, from what they've said.
Right.
Right. They said 3 games before the next Elder Scrolls.
Right.
So maybe one of those 3 games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
Because it has been a while, right? Like, Fallout was a good little while ago.
yeah. Talking, coming up, it's about 2.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, and they've released all the content that I'm pretty sure they're going to release for that game.
And if they're not doing something on that scale, they could have something ready.
Yeah.
But
What about you, Tom?
I don't know, man. Like, as far as E3 stuff, there's nothing that I'm really looking forward to that we know about,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I'm interested to see what Sony does with their 4 game thing, because that's very different from what they've done before. But as far as, like, games, there's a lot of games I'm excited for. Street Fighter collection is, like, a week away at this point.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Trailblazers, I'm ready for that shit. I know it's getting, like, so-so reviews, but, like, it's Splatoon and racing put together. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Right.
You know, like, about time we had a new idea for a racing game.
Yeah. And Onrush isn't too far off.
Yeah, excited for Onrush, excited for the same stuff I talked about last week.
Yeah.
You know, Blade Strangers, but yeah, there's a lot of good looking stuff.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, like, I know that it's out already. For those who bought like the gold edition or whatever it's called. But State of the original State of Decay, like it didn't like nobody. I don't think anybody went crazy over the original State of Decay. But it was very like it is as problematic as that game was. I enjoyed it a lot. I put over 100 hours into the original game.
Yeah.
And State of Decay 2 very much looks to be more of that, which is honestly fine with me.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the time, like based on what I've seen of State of Decay 2, if you didn't like State of Decay 1, then you're not gonna like State of Decay 2.
Sure.
But like, there was always like what I liked about State of Decay is that there are a lot of zombie games out there, and a lot of them focus primarily on the confrontation and elimination of those zombies. And they don't really, none of those games really talk about like what it would be like to actually have to live in that world. Like, I think about Left 4 Dead, right? And the characters and those games are referred to as the survivors, right?
Right.
And we don't really see anything. We don't really touch on their survival much past them getting from point A to point B without getting killed.
Sure.
And that they don't ever talk about like the logistical part of actually having to live in that world, which not every game needs that, obviously.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that from Left 4 Dead.
But at the same time, it is cool to have a game that does do that stuff.
Yeah, I feel you, man. It's like I said, I want that game to be good for you.
I think that is very based on what I'm seeing. I don't think that they would somehow make a game that is worse than the first one. I mean, they could.
Yeah, it's been known to happen.
It's been known to. I just don't see that happening. Considering like as much as I love the first State of Decay, like when we're talking about building on top of that foundation, it's not like they set the bar super high.
Right. Which is interesting. Like, so it's been getting a lot of like okay scores.
Yeah.
Not great, not terrible. A lot of just okay scores.
Yeah.
And I feel like Microsoft, like I know they expected Crackdown to be ready.
Yeah.
I know they expected Sea of Thieves to do better, but like, man, you're depending on State of Decay.
That's a really weird horse to bet on too, because
man,
it's not a game that a bunch of people bought last year.
You're depending on Crackdown even. Like
that seems like that to me is just like, because they've never really like, okay, so when I think back to the original Crackdown, last generation, like they supported like marketing wise and everything, but it's not like it was it wasn't huge, right? Um, and even with I don't know, maybe it was just me, but like even when Crackdown 2 came out, like I kind of barely noticed when it came out. Like I was like I happened to be out one day. I was like, oh, Crackdown
Right,
2 came
right,
out.
right, right.
Um, and so like, and I know that like, and I feel like when they originally announced Crackdown 3, like people were like, oh hell yeah, another Crackdown, right? But like that timeline has been stretched out so far that it's like it just seems like a unrealistic amount of time to maintain enthusiasm for that property.
Yeah, for a game of that caliber. Not to
Yeah.
say Crackdown's bad, but
Yeah.
like
But when did
you
we first
can't like
when did we first hear about Crackdown 3?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Right.
It's been a long while.
And so like
Because they did that whole thing with the cloud and fucking
Yeah.
evolution bullshit, like, which now they don't mention that at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So who knows if that's even still there.
um
But,
but it very much seems like the expectation is that I jump up out of my seat and applaud every time they say Crackdown 3, which is like one, I've never had that kind of affinity for Crackdown to begin with.
Right.
But I feel like even if I did, like that would have subsided by now. But I don't presume to speak for everybody, but
I mean, look, the exclusive problem is like, that's old news. People know that Microsoft has an exclusives problem this generation.
right.
But like, you can't do that, man. Like, depend on Forza, sure, but like you can't.
Forza would make a lot more sense.
You can't depend on State of Decay and Sea of Thieves and Crackdown.
Yeah.
Those games are not going to be great selling games. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if Games Pass wasn't a thing, those would not be great selling games.
Well, no, I think that
They would sell okay.
Dude, imagine see if okay.
But they're not gonna put up like Uncharted numbers. They're not gonna put up Halo numbers. It's just not gonna happen.
Like now, it makes me think about like what Sea of Thieves numbers would have been if Game Pass didn't exist.
Yeah.
Which, it was very much, and we've heard it like a bunch of times already, but there are parallels that are drawn between that and No Man's Sky, which is like there's some other shit with No Man's Sky that I'm really excited about, but the comparison that's being made most often is lots of hype out the gate, not a whole lot of content going in, and then the conversation dropping off sharply, and then just nothing.
I mean, my whole thing is like, people seem to like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
The biggest issue with that game is a lack of a progression system.
Yeah.
But, you just can't depend on that. You can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, not to speak bad about those 3 games, but like, those are never going to do Halo numbers.
Right.
They're never going to do Gears of War numbers. They're just not. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Those are THQ-ass games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah. And it's like, because you're relying on these games to move hardware, to sell this service that you poured a lot of money and time into, and it's just, again, like it goes back to my conversation about me looking at Game Pass,
Yeah.
and just like there's just nothing here that I want.
Dude, the State of Decay trailer that they showed at last year's E3, I would not have shown that at E3.
Yeah.
That was a bad looking fucking trailer.
Yeah.
That game looked terrible in
Yeah.
that trailer,
And then like,
in motion, it looks way better.
But then yeah, I don't know. What goes back to what you were saying about like their business decisions, because showing that shit off is very much a business decision, and
Yeah.
and
they have to show something.
Yeah.
I get that.
But it's like also at the same time it's like, like it's just heartening to very much tell that they're in the mindset of like, well, we have to show something.
No.
Whereas as opposed to like, dude, we have this thing that you guys have got to see.
Mm-hmm.
They really should have shown that before the Porsche, I think. But yeah, because like I think about last year's show, right? And I think about all the showcases and all the things that they showed off at last year's show, and like regardless of whether or not you're into racing games, I think that the presentation behind the Forza trailer was probably the most exciting.
As
Um,
far as their exclusive stuff, absolutely. You
um,
know,
and I guess it's hard to hear about a Microsoft conference and think that yeah this will be exciting. Um,
I'm very excited for it. I just want to know what they're going to do because at
well,
this point they've got a couple of options, right? We know 343 is doing something. We know it's probably a Halo game.
yeah.
By the way, do you hear about that Halo arcade game?
Mm-mm.
Looks super rad. Looks fucking cool.
What,
I don't even like Halo.
like what are we talking about here?
It's like the four-player Jurassic Park thing with the shooty,
Oh yeah, neat.
but it's Halo. Like,
I
yeah,
like that.
it looks so cool. But like,
Let's go play that.
you know, let's say they're doing Halo, right?
Hmm.
Do you release it now, or do you wait till the next Xbox? You know, they are in the Wii.
Well,
They're not. Don't get me wrong. Xbox One is sold way better than the Wii U. But they're in that situation in that the generation is coming to an end, whether it's next year or the year after or whatever. The generation is coming to an end. Uh,
I think you
they've
start.
had a lack of exclusives, and their companies, right? The coalition,
Mhm.
343, like they're working on something. They've been working on something. Do you release it now or do you hold it over?
Well, that I feel like that depends on a couple of things, right? So that depends like on when is the next Xbox, right?
Yeah.
And because if the next Xbox is too far away, then you probably don't want to wait that long to finish your second Halo trilogy.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the same time, like, because I think that you definitely, I think that Halo 6 is definitely on Xbox One.
Yeah.
I feel like it is. Um,
I don't know, man. I think like the biggest problem that they seem to have is like,
I think Gears 6 is going to debut on the next Xbox.
yeah.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talking about this, and it was like it was very on point. And they're talking about Microsoft Studios, you know, 343, the coalition,
Right.
and they're like these companies, like with Naughty Dog, right? Or better example with the fucking Gorilla with Gorilla, right?
Right.
Made Killzone forever. They're like, fuck it, we're not making Killzone anymore. Here's Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
We see all these fucking Sucker Punch games at, fucking Dulce and all that bullshit. And they're like, okay, we're not doing Infamous anymore. Here's Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
I feel like the Microsoft studios don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
And like they need to have that luxury, but
Yeah.
it's so tied to those studios. Those studios are so tied to those franchises that it's in their fucking names.
Yeah.
343, the coalition. So you
Yeah.
have to make these franchises forever or what?
Yeah.
You know? Like
And,
let
like-
them do something else.
And that's the thing too is that like it would, like I would. It's easy. You could make the argument that these franchises that they're so tied to have already begun to stagnate, and it would, and like you have to wonder how much longer are you gonna stretch these things out? And I think I think that those other studios who made the decision to kind of spread their wings, as it were, like it made the right call because
Yeah.
like when Horizon Zero Dawn was announced, I was like, I don't want to play another Killzone game.
Yeah. Right.
Like I don't want to.
I think very few people did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right decision because like that made me interested in Guerrilla again. And it's not that I ever had any distaste for them. It's just that I just didn't want to play another Killzone game again.
Right.
I doubt my interest in playing another Halo. I'm okay with playing another Gears game, but like I don't know how many more Gears games I got in me, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that they've kind of it very much seems like as far as Microsoft's first party, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner with that stuff. And I just I guess that's part of what makes that their future's so uncertain to me because I'm like, what else are you guys gonna do? You know, like, are you gonna build another studio that you tie intrinsically to a specific franchise? You're gonna build another studio that you can allow to like make other shit. And like,
Yeah.
why would you delegate that all to one studio? You know?
Well, we've heard rumors this year about them buying up studios,
Yeah.
which they have done in the past, but not often,
Yeah.
and not in a substantial way. Not in the way that Sony used to. Sony seems to, you know, get rid of studios nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know, man. This conversation is kind of what had me hesitant to buy an Xbox in the first place, and yet I still did it. And I've talked. I've lived in the apartment that I live in now. I've lived there for about 8 months now.
mm.
That Xbox has been turned on 0 times.
I mean, my Xbox gets a lot of use, but from my kids, you
Yeah.
know, the only games I have played on our Xbox have been 360 games. I've
Yeah.
never played an Xbox One game on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which maybe they start shipping 360s again. I don't know.
Be nice.
I mean, why not? Like, that's where a lot of the when I hear about Xbox, a lot of the enthusiasm about Xbox is about Xbox 360 games, and it's not a mystery. Xbox 360 was great.
And they had a lot of exclusives then.
It was a fantastic console with a fantastic library behind it, and Xbox One doesn't have that. The One X, that's great. It's cool to have a console that powerful out on the market, but like it doesn't mean shit if there's nothing to play on it.
Yeah, and that's I very much didn't want the conversation to go this way because like we shit all over it now, and we have for a while, but like that is the way it is.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, like
I think it's a great console.
If you
The console itself is fantastic.
Yeah, it just but at the same time, like, give me like, and we'll see.
Yeah.
And I hear good things about how well games run on that console, and how great they look, which is fine, but games looking better has never been my priority. I want them to do new and interesting things, and it just so happens that the people who are developing for console doing new and interesting things happen to be developing exclusively for Sony.
Mm-hmm.
So, like with Days Gone, like they're doing new and interesting things with their game, and it's just it's an unfortunate happenstance that game's not coming to Xbox.
Well, I mean that's Bend, right? That's Sony's.
Right.
But
and you have games like and then you had well, I think personally that but from what I played of it, You Order 1886 doesn't do anything that interesting, like gameplay wise, but like a lot of things like thematically, like I haven't seen a lot of that shit like portrayed in that way.
Right.
And again, that's like I'm only gonna get to play that on PlayStation,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they should do VR on that thing.
Well, they had talked about it 2 years ago, and then nope, it's not happening. Yeah.
That was a mistake. They should have done VR.
Yeah.
I should sell my Xbox.
No. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can't justify owning that and a computer.
Not anymore.
There was a time where I could have.
I was talking to somebody about the numbers yesterday, right? So there are 12 Xbox One exclusives that you cannot play anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Can't play them on PC, any other console. There are 12.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 70 something PlayStation 4 games that you cannot play anywhere else.
And that matters, right? Like when you're
it's fucking nuts.
When you're buying consoles like that, that number matters.
Yeah.
And I talked before about the what would be the primary driving force behind me buying any Nintendo platform, which is because I can't, like, when you give, like, by and large, if I buy a Nintendo console or handheld or whatever, by and large, like I can only play it on that though the game that I want, I can only play it on that thing.
Right. Usually, yes.
Um,
I think they've made a good case this generation of, hey, play it here because you can take it with you.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
which
and that's
I think is smart.
yeah.
But
But like with Xbox, like I could just well, you've made the because I used to wonder, um, why you were so adamant about specifically buying things for your computer, and then you told me like, well, I'd rather just have them all in one place as opposed to having them spread out across different systems, and
well, it's also the fact that that library goes with me, right?
yeah,
Regardless of what computer I have in the future,
yeah,
that library stays with me. Whereas,
yeah,
like PlayStation 5, maybe I won't be able to play these games.
right, right,
Xbox One, 2, maybe I won't be able to play these games, you know?
yeah.
Um,
But then again, a few times I bought games on computer and it was like maybe I won't be able to play these games.
sure, sure.
But that happens far less often than with console life cycles, um, and it goes back to my question like, and maybe the question has been answered and I'm just not looking in the right places. But the question of like, I know how Play Anywhere benefits me, but in the long term, how does it benefit Microsoft?
Yeah.
Like, are you?
Because I don't think they care whether you're playing on Xbox or Windows. They're still
Yeah.
getting your money.
Yeah. Well, then at that point, like, what is the point? Why does Xbox exist then?
Because there is a good amount of people that don't play on PC, don't
Yeah.
want to play on PC,
Yeah.
and they want to be able to sell to those people, you know?
Right. But at the same time, well, never mind. I was gonna say that there was like a lot of the games that I can play on Xbox, I can also play on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which is true, but like
Yeah.
at the same time, I can't play Gears of War on PlayStation.
Well, right. Like think about the Xbox Play Anywhere system, and think about like Microsoft exclusives, and even games that are not Microsoft exclusive that are still on sale on the Windows 10 store.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those Microsoft games are only on sale on the Windows 10 store. Some of them made it over to Steam, right? But very few. Killer Instinct is on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Gears of War isn't. A mainline Halo game isn't.
Yeah.
You know? Shit like that. Fucking. What was the Inafune game? Recore?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, like, if you're buying it on PC, you're still buying it from them on PC.
Yeah.
More often than not. You're not buying it from Gabe.
And to your earlier point, like I mean, I know that very much comes off as like a negative bias toward Microsoft and the Xbox brand, and it really isn't. Like I would love to I would love to have a reason to turn on my Xbox or a reason to upgrade to a One X. It would be great to have justification for that, but like at this point in time, it sucks because I can't justify dropping $500 on something that I'm never going to play.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Because talk about last generation where like all I did was play my 360 like all the time. Just hours and hours. I bought. This is either a testament for or an indictment against the Xbox brand, but I bought 3 Xbox 360s.
Right.
And I guess it was half and half, right? Like one is because
you wouldn't keep buying them if you didn't like it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't keep buying them if they didn't keep breaking. But,
right.
But there was definitely a lot of staying power there. There was definitely a lot of longevity out of that console. Once they got the kinks worked out, 10 years later, it was. But it was solid, like there was always something to play on that thing, and there was always like, especially like you go back to Summer of Arcade, which I still remember like very fondly.
Sure.
And there was excitement behind turning that thing on. There was excitement behind going to the store and seeing what's there.
Yeah, well, and people are always like, "Oh, you're so into Sony. You're such a Sony fanboy, or whatever." They say it a lot less now than they used to because I play a lot of PC now.
Right.
But like, that was always because of the smaller games that were only there.
Yeah.
The Housemarque games, the Pixel Junk games, stuff like that were only there. But like, Microsoft back then had that too. They had that in spades, right? With
Right.
like you weren't playing Twisted Pixel games anywhere else,
Right.
and I loved those games.
Yeah.
They don't have that shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was like, which is why.
like it doesn't need. But I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be a AAA exclusive.
Right.
Just
Exclusive.
Yeah,
And again, like it's not about like I don't care how like okay. I'd be lying if I said graphics didn't matter to me. I just graphics don't matter to me as much as maybe they would want to believe. Um, because I'm at the point now, like, because I think, like, whenever I think about graphics, I think about, like, the 16-bit era, where, like, that was how you sold your game, right? It was like, look at these fucking graphics, right?
do the math.
Yeah. But now it's just more like, I care more about how that game was working with things that I can't see. Like mechanically, how does that game perform? You know, like, what kind of concepts is
Right.
that game bringing to the table?
Well, it's funny because like they're obviously clueless to that fact, and the fact is most people seem to feel that way. People are buying up Switches.
Yeah.
That's a fucking tablet processor in there.
Right.
People are buying them up, but like
But the games are fun.
Xbox One X, the whole thing was the most powerful console ever made, which is not a lie. But you know what? Every single generation, someone has made the most powerful console
Right.
ever made, and no one ever advertised it.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, back in the day there were 64 bits or whatever, but like
Right.
I'd never heard that phrase before Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Why suddenly is it important to say that when
Because
it's always existed?
Because before, what you would do is you would let the software library talk for you.
Right.
And then when you don't have that, you have to hope that people are okay with just being able to say that they own the most powerful console out there.
Last gen, PlayStation 3 was technically the most powerful console ever made. You never saw that marketing.
Yeah. It's not even like a weird thing to think about, right? It's not even that hard to figure. It's not even that hard to suss out. I think that there might be just things going on over at Microsoft that just make it difficult for them to have the library that we're looking for or to do the thing. But like it's funny because like
But just like this whole iterative console thing that we're seeing now.
yeah.
PS4 Pro, Xbox One X. I don't think we see that next generation.
No.
I mean, you're still going to see your Slims and all that,
yeah,
but I don't think you're going to see.
I think it was just like a really more of an experiment
Yeah.
than because I think that a lot of people were talking about how it's going to change the way we think of console generations. I'm like, no, because we're still having conversations about Xbox or about PlayStation 5.
Right.
So no, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think that I think that they'll manufacture those things faster and cheaper, but it'll still be a PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just if we take focus away from how good the games look and put it back on how the games play, then I think that it would behoove Microsoft, I think, to have a renewed focus in that area. Because when I think about last year and all the stuff that they talked about at the E3 with the Xbox One X, like the crux of every single presentation was like, look how sharp these textures are. Look how sharp these textures are on the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Look how great this game looks on Xbox One X. But like,
Yeah.
we're not thinking about like nobody's talking about like how the game plays, and that was mysteriously it was conspicuously absent.
Well, in last year's conference, I don't remember what the number was, but Phil Spencer comes out on stage, and he says, "I'm going to talk to you about this many games," which was like the most games they'd ever talked about,
Yeah.
only by like a game or two.
Yeah.
But he's like, "I'm going to talk to you about this many games tonight, and this many of them were exclusive." And no, they were not. No, they were not.
Well, no, because last year was the time where they kept doing
console launch exclusive
Yeah.
or console exclusive,
yeah,
right?
which is like.
But like, yeah, like I was so excited when he came out and spat those numbers at me, and yeah, like no, that's not the case. I get why you're saying that because you want it to seem like it's the case, but yeah.
I just think that like back when we had like Xbox Live Arcade and they had like a really huge focus on that. Like we were getting some like some interesting stuff coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, and most of it wasn't the prettiest. Most of them weren't the prettiest games, um,
But like
but they were fun.
Chair doing Shadow Complex back then.
Yeah,
At the time, that game looked fucking good,
yeah,
and it was not a high budget. It didn't cost them a shit ton of money to make, and you weren't buying that on PlayStation 3 at the time. I think maybe it eventually came to PlayStation
yeah,
3,
yeah,
but it was a 360 exclusive for a while.
yeah.
Same thing with like the Maw. The Maw sold incredibly well. That was not a great looking game.
Yeah.
Same thing with Explosion Man. Like
So why do you think they focus so hard on that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I get it. Like there are a lot of people who do care about how good the games look. There are plenty of people, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people who bought an Xbox One X specifically because of how good the games look on that console, right? And to some people that shit is paramount. I don't know.
I think history has been nicer, and the critical reception was better to the small games that Sony was doing in that style than the 360 games, right? Because like Shadow Complex reviewed quite well, it sold a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So did all the Twisted Pixel games. A lot of their exclusives did, but they never had a journey.
Yeah.
They never had an Unfinished Swan. Like those games had high critical praise. Right. So maybe that's why, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we'll see how this conference goes. I'm interested to see what they say, or what they have to show us.
I am most excited for their conference. Of the big three, I'm most excited for theirs. Because like Sony and Nintendo, we don't know exactly what we're getting, but we could pretty well estimate what we're getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Microsoft's the big question mark. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me. Like, I bet you guys didn't think we had anything new going on. Well, we got a new thing going on.
Xbox One XX.
Yeah, Xbox One XXX.
Sure.
And Vin Diesel comes out.
Sure.
On a snowboard.
All right.
And he's like, "This is the most powerful console ever." And then he's like, "You can buy it right now."
Yeah, it's like the next Wheelman game.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
He
He was in that one, right?
Yeah, he was the Wheelman. Yeah.
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 Riddick, the next Riddick game.
That
only on Xbox.
Actually pretty cool. Riddick is pretty cool.
Yeah. He's done a lot of video games. Was he in some Stuntman game too?
No. I think you're still thinking of Wheelman.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But you talking about Wheelman reminded me of the Dwayne Johnson Spy Hunter game.
Oh. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you should watch that game being played. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, but I think in conclusion, I will say that if nothing else, E3 this year will certainly be interesting.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
I don't understand the people who are like, who talk about how like they're not looking forward to it. Like I look forward to it every year, because if nothing else, it's always fun to watch.
You typically hear like journalists that are not excited for it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work. It is.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of work for me, and I love it.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, guys, thank you once again for joining us on the Safe Continue podcast. As always, it is a pleasure to bring this show to you. My name is Ryan Robinson. That's Tom Shelby.
Goodbye.
See you next week.